We're recording. All right. Well, it's a little bit different Sunday morning for us. Hey, Grant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we have Anita on here. I'm not sure if anyone else will tune in live right now, but this tool, if you're watching the video after we've recorded this, is called Zoom, and it's a fairly simple tool. Once you've used it once, it becomes pretty obvious. There will be a join code, and that join code then allows you to just log in by using your name. It prompts you to download an app, but I think there's also ways to just do it in your browser if you'd rather not download an app. For today's purpose, we wanted to just get this up as an example of what a Zoom call could look like. So you can join like Anita is joining without the video, or if we were in different places, we're able to come together and different people would ask questions live. And so it's good to have the live stream that we had for our worship service, but it's also helpful for a sustained community where we can talk back and forth.
Yeah, that's the great thing about this, is it allows us to do that. Technology is great.
Yeah. So we're asking some more questions about kind of coronavirus and stuff, maybe a little bit more in depth than what you gave earlier in the worship service. But so the first one I had for you, Grant, is how potent is the virus and for spreading?
Well, there are contagiousness factors for viruses. So, for instance, measles has a contagiousness factor of 18. So that means you're very highly likely to get it if you've been exposed to it. The contagiousness of the SARS virus was 4. And contagiousness of this COVID-19, or what we're calling the coronavirus right now, is 2. So it's less contagious than the last SARS virus, but that's not the whole story. You have to look at some of what we call the epidemiological factors of how it spread. The SARS virus, almost everyone, or really everyone who was contagious, was very sick. So you had to be very sick to be contagious. So it was pretty easy to contain because you contained those that were sick. This virus is different in that especially younger people, even infants and children, are pretty much spared the most severe symptoms. So the way that it can be spread is you can have people that almost are symptomless with the virus who can do droplet spread, like they can touch their mouth, they can touch a surface, you can touch that surface and touch your mouth and get it. So that's why this is more dangerous, and that's why the governments are so fixated on isolation, because anyone can have it that's been exposed, and sometimes you don't even know if you've been exposed.
So you don't know it, yeah.
So
okay. So you were talking a little bit about surfaces and stuff. I'm trying to remember if you already addressed this in the video earlier, but so you're saying the virus can live on surfaces like how long? About how long?
Well, the best estimates right now, and again, I've done most of my research online, like most people can, but I consider myself a good interpreter for what the information is, and I probably know how to search medical stuff better. So from what I've been able to glean as much as possible is they say anywhere from 2 to 48 hours is the best guesstimate right now. That could change once, we're able to study it more. So, and that's usually, if you have a stainless steel surface that gets dry, it's probably a lot shorter. If you have a surface that contains moisture, it can probably live a lot longer. So that's kind of how it goes. When it gets dehydrated and there's no more droplet or fluid or anything for it to sustain in, then it likely dies off. So that's kind of how we look at it. And so that's one of the contagiousness factors that's not listed in how likely you are to get if you're exposed to someone, that is kind of an additional means of spread.
So Anita, I don't know if you have any questions. I'll ask one more. If you think of some that you want to ask, I'll give some space for you to ask some questions. So if you get the virus, are you likely to get pneumonia? Is that like kind of like an automatic thing, or?
So the hallmarks of those that get symptoms are high fever, cough, dry cough, not congestion, not sinus congestion, dry cough. And then after that, shortness of breath as it starts to affect the lungs more and more, and respiratory distress where you're not getting enough oxygen through your lungs. So those are the most severe cases. But the thing to note is, again, to reiterate, some people have very mild symptoms. They may only have a little bit of fever. They may not get a cough. And there's some that may almost have no symptoms at all and not realize they have it.
Mm.
So
pneumonia is not necessarily an automatic thing that we can expect.
Not an automatic.
Okay. All right. So this is a little different. Okay. So Anita, I just open it up to you if you have any questions.
No, I'm just enjoying the conversation, and I've been doing a lot of reading myself, but no, I'm good. Thank you.
Cool. Okay. So I think you've talked quite a bit about the people who are at great risk with lung preconditions and other things. What are just some other tips that you were thinking about in terms of? I mean, obviously we know hand washing and
Right.
technique, and I think you gave a great. I don't know if that was off air or not, but you were talking about singing "Happy Birthday" to yourself or something.
I think that was on air, but
Okay.
But that's what I was over in England recently, and their news was saying that's what they were suggesting over and over again was something that would help you prolong your hand washing, because it is quite tedious and it's longer than you think. Because you can sing Happy Birthday if you're really hurrying through it pretty quick. And so they want you to do it twice so that even if you're hurrying through it, you get at least 20 seconds, preferably 30 seconds of hand washing. And if you get bored, go down the insides of each finger and then the back of the hands, and then rub your nails on the palm of your hand. Anything that will just kind of keep the soap on your hands longer, because the soap breaks down all sorts of cell wall material in the bacteria and the viruses. So a soap, how it works is it allows fat soluble and water soluble things to both be emulsified. And most cell wall structure of bacteria and other organisms is usually what we call a lipid bilayer. So you have to break down that fat to be able to destroy the bacterium or the virus.
I'm no longer going to WebMD. I'm just gonna like Grant MD. No, this is good. This is good. Well, so yeah. So beyond that, I mean, questions about like masks and those kind of things. Any suggestions for us in terms of?
Well, one of the things that I feel like is misunderstood, almost unless you have a respirator sort of system that's a closed system, it's very likely you're going to prevent getting the virus from someone else with a mask on. What a mask can do, even if you don't have it though, is to prevent you from touching your face. And that's one of the big factors, is if you touch a surface, or even if you're exposed to someone that might have it, you might touch them, or you might get some droplet spread from them. It's on your hands, and if it's not in your face, then you rub your eyes, or you pick your nose, or you scratch the corner of your mouth and you have it. So that's a prevention. A lot of people I've seen wearing gloves too. Gloves is the same thing. If you're wearing rubberized gloves and you should go to touch your face, it feels odd. So it's one of those things that you may be able to train yourself to not touch your face as much, which is good hygiene in the first place. So that may be a good training tool, to wear a mask for a day, just to remind you every time you have the impulse to touch your face, you go, oh, there's something on my face. And so I think they're good for that. And they're good at preventing spread from someone who has it, because it will basically catch all the droplets. So people that do have it should wear masks to prevent spreading it to other people.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know that I have any other questions at this point.
Well, a lot of all the other statistical things, like how many people have it, what's the mortality rate, those sorts of things are available easily online or easy to understand by most people. So that's something I don't feel necessary to go into. That would be pretty redundant because you can find that information and it's changing all the time.
Right. Do you recommend a specific outlet or website that is maybe going to be a little bit more less flashy and doomsday? Or
well, there's no site that's complete. Do your searches very specifically about what you want. You can use a word like epidemiology if you want to know how it's spread. You can use words like incidence if you want to know how many people have gotten it and where it's located. You can use search words like coronavirus risk factors. So if you want to know if you're in a category that's at risk. So tailoring your searches is the best way to find that information. There's always the CDC's website, which is probably going to be most accurate, at least doomsday-ish. But the good thing about this virus is not to be so scared of it if you're not in a risk category. Don't live your life out of fear, like I said earlier, because if you're young, and this is different than most other diseases that usually attacks the young and the old, but most, unless they've got other medical problems, infants, children have pretty mild cases of the disease, if almost showing symptoms at all. This is only the old. So if you're over 60 and you have multiple medical problems, which is like doubling down because most people over 60 have something, high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes or something like that. So it compounds if you're over 60 and you have other medical problems. So they're the ones that need to really self-contain and isolate themselves, have grocery delivery services, and because paper is something that absorbs moisture and would more likely kill the bacteria. So if something comes in paper or a box that's delivered or mail that's all paper, maybe unless it's a rainy day and they're staying moist, those sorts of things are very low risk.
Okay, that's good to know.
So those type of surfaces are the low risk. It's like it's a counter that can contain something that maintains moisture.
Got it. That makes sense. So cool. Did you think anything else, Anita, before we kind of wrap up?
No, thank you though.
Yeah, you're welcome. So like I said, if you're tuning in and watching this pre-recorded, this tool is going to be something that we're going to be wanting you to be familiar with. And in the future, probably, we can have more opportunities to connect about our questions that we have, prayer requests, Bible studies and things. I know we'll be looking at probably a time like this to do one of our Sunday morning Bible class type things, and just get familiar with it. It's a really good tool. And if you have questions for Grant specifically, you can email him or email one of us at the church, and we can get them to him. Again, if you have prayer requests specifically, you can send those to Brian, BRYAN, at glendale.church, and we'll send those out in our church email this week. So thanks, Grant, for being with us.
All right.
All righty. Thanks, Anita.
Thank you.
Bye.